there. So now that we have that set up, we can then set up our test to be run from our script, npm script. So it's good practice to set up your test to be run from npm script instead of every time typing it all from the beginning. So in here I will take this out, and then I will do some environment variable, like setting up some environment variable. So I'm using a Windows computer here, so to set it up I can do like a set node environment. The test is good to just set it like this, so that you know, in case maybe you want to do some branching later. And then after you set the node environment to test, you can run node, but I'll be calling from my node modules here. We'll go to mocker, and in mocker it has the bin. It has this underscore mocker file. This is the JavaScript that we'll be running to run our test. So I'm gonna just point that to read there. So it's in node modules folder, and it's mocker /bin/ underscore mocker. So this is a JavaScript file, so this will run a node and then run this. So when we hit npm test, it's gonna set our environment variable, and then call, after that it will call node and then run this JavaScript file. The thing is, we can have to point to our JavaScript file, but we can skip that because, you know, we can skip that for now. So we'll pass an argument called the --recursive argument. So this argument, because if you remember, we put our test in the routes but not like in the test directly, so we wanted to iterate through each and every folder and run each and every, you know, JavaScript file. We are compiling it there, so it will run each and every one of them. So the recursive will go through each and every folder iteratively. So now that we set our test script to run, so instead of using gop, it's very much easier to be using things like npm scripts. So in here now we can simply just come into our this and run npm. So to run the test script, we'll run npm test, and then it will go and then run our test. So we can see that it's running our test and it's passing correctly because it successfully signed up. So sometimes maybe you want to know how this works. You can see this response. We're not really doing anything with this response, but if we'll take a look at our response, if you console.log our response .body, because this response contains a body, so we can easily inspect what was returned from this request. Now let's take a look at it again. We'll rerun our npm test, and we can see that it returned exactly what we usually get when we run it in Postman. So you can see it returned a name with author, email, you know, exactly the way we want. So because we have the power of all of this programmatically, we can easily do some comparison. We can easily assert some new things. For example, we can assert that the email is gonna be equals to or the name is gonna be equals to author, or the email is gonna be author@mail.com. So we can do some assertions, like say wanna assert, like we'll use the should or library, and should will take this, like this one that we'll be checking. So we can check should.body dot, let's say name, because it's an object on it. So we can say that name dot, let's say first we want to check if it should be a string. So we'll just call the method, so it's gonna assert that response.body.name should be a string. So it means it should be defined and it should be of type string. So in here we can then come back here and rerun our test. And if we run our test, it should pass successfully. It did the assertion. But how about when it fails? For example, when we expect that this should be like maybe undefined or something. Let's say should be null. Maybe let's say should be not a number. It will be better. So if we say that this should be not a number, but we know that this is a string, this one is gonna fail. Our test will fail, so we can run our test, and as I expect, it should fail. So you can see that our assertion failed and our test failed. So we can see expected alpha to be not a number. So we can do some checking in here and programmatically check for certain things that we expect. We have some expectations from our API, and when we change them, we'll expect them to work as as we want them to work, or when we make some improvement or make some changes, to our app. So in here now we can do these assertions, and it's pretty plain and simple and easy to make these assertions. And so next